still a very conservative country. And because the conservatives held power in our federal government for so long, the only possibility for advancing our movement was at the local level. So for many decades, you saw the struggle as a city-by-city struggle, county by county, state by state. And we would work very hard, and in one town we would get the right to be protected in housing. And they would pass a law saying in this one city you cannot be evicted for being queer. And in another city we would pass a law saying you cannot be fired for being queer. And in some counties we could gain the right to visit our partner in the hospital. But that was all we could get. And now I think everything has changed. And what brought about that change was an almost magical coincidence of events. It began with the election of Barack Obama. And I am a cynical person, but no one should underestimate the significance of the United States of America electing Barack Obama. It showed all of us, many different kinds of people, that in fact real change is possible in the United States. And on that same day that Barack Obama was elected, we saw the passage of Proposition 8, which took away marriage rights for LGBT people. So at the precise moment when we saw that real change was possible, our young people were sort of knocked in the head with the reality that every single gain we had made over the last 40 years could be taken in the blink of an eye. So we saw a resurgence of militancy and activism among young people. The other thing that happened, and I don't want to attach too much significance to it, but it's part of the equation, was the release of the film Milk, just 3 weeks after that election. It happened to be the 30th anniversary of the murder of Harvey Milk and George Moscone. I received thousands and thousands of emails, mostly from young people, saying that they didn't know anything about this history. They didn't know that we had fought a statewide campaign in California 30 years before, that we had won. They didn't know who Harvey Milk was. Maybe they'd heard the name, maybe they'd seen his name on a subway stop. But even young people who grew up in the San Francisco area really didn't know who Harvey Milk was. So, at this time of great opportunity and great defeat, this film came out that informed young people of the history they had never been taught and reminded a lot of us older people of how we felt 30 years ago and how willing we were to dedicate our lives to this struggle. There's a profound shift happening in the United States. We are abandoning the old strategy of fighting state by state, county by county, city by city, and we are now focusing our attention on the federal government. On October 11th, 30 years after the first March on Washington for LGBT rights, we're going to march again in Washington, D.C. And this is something that I'm here to ask you for your help with. And I know that all of you in your own countries are engaged in very important struggles and that many of you face enormous challenges that I can only imagine. But on October 11th, across the United States, we are going to be demanding equality, real equality, true equality. We are marching on Washington with one demand and one demand only. We seek equal protection under the law in all matters governed by civil law in all 50 states. For the first time in a long time, there is the opportunity for real progress, for real change, and for real equality. And I think that this coincides, this historic window of opportunity coincides with a real shift in the way queer people in the United States look at each other. I think finally we have come to believe in our hearts what many of us have spoken with our voices, that in fact we are equal. We are equal in every respect. We are equal in our ability to form and sustain loving relationships. We are equal in our ability to parent, to adopt, and to foster parent. We are equal in our ability to serve in the armed forces. We are equal in our ability to work. We are equal in our ability to build strong neighborhoods and healthy communities. We are equal, certainly in the eyes of God, and soon, we hope, to be equal under the law of the United States of America. It would be of enormous help to us. And I hesitate to ask this of you because I know so many of you face much greater danger in your home countries. But it would be wonderful if on October 11th there could be signs of solidarity for us in America in our struggle from around the world. So one of the things I would like to ask of you today when you go home, if it's at all possible, on October 11th, we would be most grateful if you would organize rallies and protests in front of the U.S. embassies and consulates in your country to support our appeal to our new President, Barack Obama, and the Congress of the United States. So I will shut up now before she waves her yellow card at me. But before I sit down, I have to say that I first came to Europe in 1975. There's actually a reference to it in the film Milk. And I came to Scandinavia, and I hitchhiked all over Europe, and I went to Turkey and Greece and all over the place, and I fell in love with Europe. And I remember thinking how backwards Europe was in terms of gay liberation, because I, of course, came from San Francisco. And I remember thinking, wow, these people are really behind the times. And so it is a little ironic to be here before you today from a country that is now lagging so far behind so many of you. So I'm serious, we need your help. And if on October 11th you could show that solidarity, we would be very grateful. Thank you very much.